Good morning and welcome to the Nicollet County Board of Commissioners meeting on this 23rd of October 2018, 2 weeks ahead of Election Day. Today we're going to ask Lynette Peterson, the proud mother of one of the soccer players from North Mankato and West, to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
When is the big match?
It starts tomorrow night, right?
Tomorrow night. Well, good luck.
How many Nicollet County kids are on that girls' team? Do you have a sense?
few.
I thought so, yeah.
North Mankato girls.
Right. Well, good luck to them, and we wish you the best too. I know it's nerve-wracking as a parent, right?
Thank you.
So, approval of the agenda.
Did we have some amendments to it? Or some additions?
I do have two additions to the Drainage Authority consent agenda, and those are in your blue folder.
I move the agenda as amended.
Second. Motion and a second. Any other discussion, comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. Do we have any new
I'm
employees?
sorry, Mr. Chair, we do have another agenda item. I'm gonna have Jackie come in later on and give an update on the election process with
Absentee?
ballots. So
Great.
I forgot about that.
That's okay with me.
All right, it's okay with the motion maker and the seconder, and everyone else feel okay about hearing that?
Well,
We're-
when was that, when are you gonna have that done?
She's on for the ditch item.
After
so I think
ditch.
We'll do it
Oh.
after Drainage Authority.
Okay.
All right, we're all agreed?
Yes. Yes.
Moving forward, no employees today coming before us?
No.
Did we just do the consent, or did we
we
did
got
the
there,
approval?
yeah.
Okay, consent agenda, we'll, is there a motion to
Move.
approve? Kemp has moved.
Mr. Chair, as I visited with you earlier, I just have two questions on the bills, but I can visit with, if it's okay, I can visit with Seth when he comes up at Public Works, and then with Ryan when we get to the administration part.
All right, Commissioner Lipke, did you have a question, or was that
No, fine.
answered? All right, you've heard the motion and the second. Any other comments?
Do you have a second?
I'll second Jack.
Oh, I thought we had one.
Oh, no,
I was quiet.
Kemp and Lipke, I thought Jim made a second, sorry. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. Approval of bills, yeah, okay, everything is, any public appearances? Any public appearances today? Moving ahead, finance. Heather, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Bringing forward today the Q3 donations received by Nicollet County. We have a total of $1,850 of donations. We have Veterans Van at $1,425 from various donors, and also various donors from our loan closet totaling $425. Also this quarter we had various donors donate food and beverages to our community employment panel put on by Human Services and other representatives, and those donors are listed. Those local donors: Diamond Dust, Quick Trip, Subway, Family Fresh, River Rock, and Dunkin' Donuts. So those are the Q3 donations, and I'd be looking to accept these as donations for third quarter.
Thank you, Heather. Is there a motion to accept?
I'll move. Second.
Commissioner Lipke, Commissioner Kemp have moved and seconded. Comments, questions? It certainly is very generous of folks to make these donations, and we greatly appreciate it. Thank you for taking those in. You do write them letters of thanks after receiving?
Yes, we did check after your question last time. Nathan from Veterans Van has a little different process, but we did check on what they're doing.
As I learned long ago in the raising money business, you can't thank people
Sure.
enough.
Mhm.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather. Are we early for you, Mandy, or is John on his way?
He's actually with a person right now, so I'm gonna fill in, I guess. Got a surprise visit.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. So the request we have before you today is for John and Solvig Langer. They're requesting to construct a greenhouse. That'd be a wholesale and a retail greenhouse. It's going to be a closed hydroponic loop system, and so the only water coming in will be when it's recirculating, when it needs to be flushed with it. This one is a little unique where the individual is planning to go ahead and take any waste from the facility and then spread it on his own property. He's looking to a couple hundred gallons a week and possibly storage on site when it gets a little bit difficult for weather conditions with it. This is our second greenhouse within the county, similar to this type of setup. And there were no individuals at the meeting, nor did we get any contact from individuals prior to the meeting. So the Planning Commission did recommend unanimous approval of the request.
So your recommendation is?
Approval to adopt the conditional use permit and the findings of fact.
I'll move to.
You've heard the motion, or the recommendation. Is there a motion, John?
Yes.
Second.
Kemp has seconded. Questions?
I have a question, Jack, or Mr. Chair. What are they gonna do when the ground's frozen with the waste?
Some of it he's going to continue to apply and move it around. When it gets really difficult to maneuver around it, he's gonna have a little bit of on-site storage.
Okay. But it's only a couple hundred gallons a week.
Yeah, it's not very much.
And would that have a lot of nutrients in it? I assume it would.
We did talk with the U of M Extension about that and both the Department of Ag, because it was kind of a new system to us. And after they heard what he was going to be using, they weren't not concerned at all, because that was one of our concerns right away with proximity to as well. But they confirmed that what he's going to be doing was completely satisfactory.
Sounds wonderful.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
this is an agricultural thing.
Correct.
So that's why it's not a home business.
The ordinance
Okay.
specifically calls out greenhouses as a conditional use permit. He does live on site, but because it's called out specifically, we did have to go through the CUP process.
Yeah, okay.
So, refresh my memory, will they be selling items out of this greenhouse?
Vegetables.
Originally, they're going to be selling them growing them on site and then trucking them off site to vendors that they have in place. Eventually, they may be doing some walkthroughs on site, and maybe an occasional someone will stop in to purchase vegetables.
Is it classified as organic?
Not at this time.
And if they do sell on site, are there enough roads to support any heavy traffic?
Yeah, it's off of County Road 15.
Just a note, I think it said in there they do not plan on using any pesticides.
Right.
A building that, the yellow, is that building coming down so that they build another one there?
Correct. So what they're planning to do is remove the existing shed that runs north and south, build one half of the structure, get that up and running, and then add another very similar structure to the east side.
Oh,
And on the north side, they're going to have their packing, kind of shipping room, then a
who's on
bathroom.
the east side of the red line?
Just trying
Is
to-
that somebody else that's going
That'd
to?
probably be the lady's parents, huh?
Yes, it is her parents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not the homestead there, right?
Any other comments to the motion at hand?
We're good.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carries. Do you have anything else for us today, Mandy?
No, I do not.
Right. Any news on the land plan or how that's coming along?
Not to date. I did talk with a SRF representative about a week and a half ago, and he was going to check in to see what was where the status was, to make sure that we were staying on course.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thanks.
Public Works, morning, Seth.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board and staff. One item from Public Works today is to consider our final payment for our 2018 aggregate materials. This contract was for crushing and stockpiling Class 5 aggregate for use on re-graveling our county roads and re-shouldering the aggregate shoulders on our paved roads. We also screened a pile of sand to be used during our winter maintenance operations. Total contract value was $126,164.04. The final payment amount to Ferguson Brothers is for $6,308.20. So I'm asking the board to approve that final payment to Ferguson Brothers.
You've seen the information on your board
I'll
packet.
move it.
Commissioner Stenson has moved.
And I have a
Commissioner
question.
Kemp, second. Yes, go ahead.
Our gravel is in a natural state,
Yep.
right? And so when you say we're gonna do this, they take the gravel out of our gravel pit because nothing has ever been done to it before, and then they process this.
Yes.
And when you say crush, does that mean that there's nothing that's left over? You get a pile of nice gravel and you get a pile of something that's not worth much, or what?
No, they're constantly blending all the different materials that you find in our pit to make the final product. It's all used. There's nothing
So
left
might
over.
become some clay in there and.
Yep,
some
we
other-
definitely add some clay for it's binder
Yeah.
material to
Yeah,
help it
okay.
hold together.
So if you could estimate the number of yards of material that we have, this 126,000 would create how much dollar investment per yard for gravel?
We crushed, I believe, 30,000 tons of gravel. So I can't do that math that quick in my head, but
30,000 tons. And
Like
1 ton, how many yards in 1 ton?
1.4 tons in a cubic yard, roughly. That's uncompacted material. Now, if you want to talk compacted
lot.
material, then we're 1.8 tons per cubic yard.
Okay, so.
But
what
out of
is
that 126,000, I think we screened off several thousand tons of sand too, and they weren't at the same bid price.
Yeah, okay. Is the sand then sitting in the pit, or are you kinda gonna truck some of that to our new,
Yeah, the sand, we screen the pile in our pit, and then, yeah, we'll take some to every facility that we have
Yeah.
a salt sand
cool,
shed for. Yep.
all right.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
The sand you spread in the winter, what is the size, the largest size?
Oh, it's 3/8 of an inch or less, I believe.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments to the motion at hand? Please call the roll.
Stenson?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Lichty?
Yes.
Rentals?
Yes.
Fuller?
Yes, carries 5-0.
Mr. Chair, before we lose stuff, I have just a normal question.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
How we doing on salt, since we didn't have a lot?
We just had, I believe, 400 tons trucked into St. Peter. I'm sure the guys are having some more trucked into Klausner and
So our
Nicollet.
reality is we're gonna have ample salt, it's just that we're gonna pay more for it, right? Is that kind of ultimately where it works out?
Yeah, this contract for this season, there was a definite jump in salt price. I believe it's anywhere from $15 to $20 more a ton this go around, because there's a very the salt companies only produce so much tonnage every year, and so with a very tough snow and ice season last go around, the reserves out there have been depleted. We went into last year with several hundreds tons of salt on hand. Our bays were completely empty by the end of last season. So there isn't a glut or excess of salt out there, but
So do we have-
everybody should be able to get, for the most part, their allocation for this winter. But if
we
it's
have
another
extraordinary
bad winter,
we
yeah,
have an
it
exposure of potentially not enough salt.
yeah, we may end up having to thin our mix down as we go. But we'll see.
Mr. Chair, where's the Where's the salt come from? Where's it mined?
I believe there's some
Processed?
large salt mines down in Kansas, and then a lot of that gets barged up on the Mississippi
Oh,
River.
large stuff. Okay.
Yep.
Not on trains, it's,
Not necessarily.
cool.
Yep.
Do you have another question?
Yeah, I have, on one of the bills that we approved already today, traffic marketing services, $175,000 for 2018 highway striping.
Yep.
Can you give us a little bit of the number of miles and in the general area where the striping was done?
All over.
All over, but not every road.
Not every road. We typically, as the guys drive the roads all year long, they'll report back which roads are the striping's getting poor on, and then some of the roads that are higher traffic roads, we try to stripe those every year. Like County Road 5, County Road 37, County Road 13. They see a lot of traffic. We like to keep those stripes nice and visible.
Okay, so like, for example, on Highway 20, where we had reconstruction or overlay,
Yep.
is that striping done by these guys or the contractor?
No, that striping was included with the bituminous overlay contract.
Okay, so
Yep.
that striping was with the contract, this is separate from that?
Yep. Yep.
Is it the same company that they hired to do it?
This year, I can't remember right offhand, but some years, yeah, it's the same one. There's 2 or 3 big striping outfits in the state of Minnesota, so your chances of a contractor doing both the bituminous overlays and just our general restriping contract can
Who
be the same.
decides when you go out there to make the little mark about where the yellow line is gonna be solid, so you're not supposed to pass?
As those roads were built or regraded, there's a whole process to establish those no passing zones.
Yeah, but who does that? Is it your office?
My
your
engineering
engineers
staff
do it?
does that.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't have any I just wanted to know if the contractor was doing that, or you set that so that the
No,
stripers
we
know.
established those.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I think traffic, the same company did County Road 20. I was up there talking with the guy when I was cruising around on the 4-wheeler one day.
Okay.
So I think that's what it said on the side of the truck.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well,
I didn't
thanks
ask
for
him
that
about the no
info.
passing zones though.
Oh, okay.
And this 175 came in within budget?
Yes, that came in within what the contract award had been for, or close to it.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions for the engineer? I want to thank you on behalf of the board for leading us on our road tour last Tuesday. Very informative, informational, and it was good to see the projects. Other than our 20-minute debate on where to eat, everything went, I thought, really smoothly.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Well,
Thank you.
I'm sure that the 2 commissioners at the other end, the dais here, really appreciated that meal as well.
It's excellent.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, and it was timely as per your specifications, so thank you.
All right.
Ironically,
Ironic.
Diane and I ate there the very next day,
Really?
and then I had what you guys had. And
Did you find it acceptable?
yes, very.
That's good.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Chair will recess the board meeting, call the Drainage Authority meeting to order. You have before you the consent agenda and a couple of other items here that are new to the, you want to take those separately or can put them all together on
I think
consent?
put it in the consent.
All together. I'll look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Drantle and Kemp, any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carries. There's either one aye. Ask for a motion to, and a second to adjourn the Drainage Authority meeting.
Did we need to, before you do that, did we need to talk about the public hearing?
I had a blue agenda item today.
Yes, I think I mentioned that wrong this morning, that
So we'll
they're not
put-
both consent, one of them is just. for the-
All right,
Okay.
so we'll,
Okay.
let's adjourn the meeting. Oh,
No, this is part of the,
Oh, okay.
This is not a consent agenda item, just a quick
This
one.
was-
Well then, good morning, Jackie, with all the confusion that I'm bringing to it.
Sorry, that was my fault.
No, I misunderstood.
Good morning, Mr.
Good
Chair
morning.
and members of the board.
I just have one quick blue agenda item today. On Friday, October 19th, I received the preliminary engineers report from the ISG regarding the County Ditch 77 Lateral 2 improvement project. And I would like to set the date for the public hearing on December 18th at either 10 or 10:30. That's the only board meeting in December. I don't know if we have anything else scheduled. 10 would be fine, or 10:30, whatever the board approves.
You've heard the recommendation for 10 or 10:30, let's say 10.
10?
Is there a motion to that effect?
Move it.
Commissioner Kemp has moved, second.
Second.
Commissioner Lipke? Any other comments, questions, concerns about that?
Just a reminder, board, that that's third Tuesday of the month. We meet
Right.
in
And
December.
are we having our preliminary meeting ahead to honor long-serving, that's at
No.
8:30 or so?
Right.
New.
And
Oh,
retirees?
8:30 or 8:15 for all the people that
Yeah.
get their awards.
Yeah.
That's right. That's at 8 or 8:15.
Yeah, 8:15, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else for us?
I do not for the Drainage Authority.
All right, let's motion and second to adjourn the Drainage Authority. Is there, Kemp has moved, seconded by
I'll second.
Lipke. Comments, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we are now back to the Nicollet County Board of Commissioners meeting. If you could remain for just a second. I know we're 2 weeks out on Election Day 2018. Couple of people that I know who I brought in, my son and my son's girlfriend recently, were part of the 400 people in the first week, 800 people in the second week. What are the numbers as we stand 2 weeks ahead on absentee voting?
So we, for just the absentee alone, we've issued about 1,500 applications. We've received back in 934, I believe. So we still have quite a few outstanding out there, but we're issuing them every day quite a bit, and we're receiving quite a few ballots back in the mail every single day. In comparison to 2016, the total for 16 was, we issued, where's my total? I'm sorry. We had about 2,300, so I really expect to go over that, because even though we just have 2 weeks left, it's the busiest 2 weeks that are left. Also, I just thought I'd kind of give you a little update on the mail ballots, because we have so many new precincts that are in mail ballots situations. So we issued about 2,500 mail ballots, and we've received in 617 to date that we've successfully received in. But there too, we are coming upon the busiest 2 weeks, so I expect those mail ballot precincts to have a very high turnout too.
Mr. Chair, can I ask Jackie, do you know off the top of your head how many registered voters we have?
We are about at 21,000.
Really? Is that what it is?
I think so. I don't have it on my reports. So
Yeah,
I only have our absentees. But we're about 20,000 registered
Well, we got
voters.
about 32,000 residents in the county,
33, isn't it?
so there's gotta be a lot of people under age.
So 2/3 roughly.
Mm-hmm.
Couple felons.
Yeah.
A couple felons, just a couple.
I gave one a ride the other day.
Is your staff able to handle the people who are coming in who want to vote absentee, or is it becoming?
So far, we have been now starting 7 days prior to the election. So next Tuesday, we'll start opening ballots. Once we balance them all out and putting them in the machine, and the customers at the counter can forego all the envelopes and can put them right in the machine as well. So next Tuesday, we'll start that process. So we will be busy, and we'll use all staff available that can help us.
So as you're doing that a week ahead of the
Mhm.
election, do you know what the results
No.
of those are? You don't?
No. So just like at a polling place, they run their zero total tape, and the tape has to be consecutive, where they can't tear it off or do totals in there. So you don't total it. So we'll open polls in our office for the week, And then at 8 o'clock, we will switch it over to close the polls. And at the time of closing the polls is the only time that the results will come out. So otherwise, all the ballots are sealed up prior to that. So,
Of course, the 2016 election had its talk of some sort of infiltration by another country. How safe are the ballots here in Nicollet County and in Minnesota?
I don't know how anybody could ever hack the way that we do our ballots. Nothing is submitted electronically. Totals aren't submitted electronically to our office on election night. They're hand submitted. We're hand seeing all the ballots. We're locking them up in the vaults. We're balancing and less electronic kind of processing too would be it would be harder to hack if you're doing things by hand. So in Minnesota we do obviously stuff on the computer, but a lot of our election is done by hand and visual looking, and ballots are locked up in our process.
A certain resident of the White House was saying that people who try to cheat should better be careful because they're going to get caught. There's no way to cheat in Minnesota.
Well, I'm not much of a cheater, so I don't know how they would cheat, but let's hope not.
Well, Jack, we do have sometimes people vote twice.
Yep.
Or, but that's very, very, very seldom. It's not election is not gonna be based on a couple of people that accidentally vote twice. Because the possibility of somebody voting early and then going to the polling place and voting a second time, what's the procedure there?
As people are voting early now, by the time we run our rosters, their signature line will say AB on it, absentee ballot, so they can't vote at the polling place. Now we run our rosters on probably Friday prior to election, and the precincts pick them up on Monday for Tuesday, so then our office manually, as we get absentees in, we're contacting the precincts to mark their ballots as soon as possible, or mark their rosters as soon as possible, so those people can't vote as well. So.
Okay.
Now, another question I have, Jack,
Commissioner.
in mind, is that people who request a ballot now, you said that you've issued so many ballots, but a lot of them haven't come in yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you, if the ballots doesn't come in, you don't worry about those? I mean,
No, we don't.
If they pick up a ballot but don't issue the ballot by the voting day, then they didn't show up for the
Correct.
vote, right?
Correct. And I do have the stats from last year. It was roughly out of the 2,300 voters that we voted by absentee, we issued about 2,400. So 100 people requested ballots, but either they didn't come back in time or they just chose not to return them.
Or went to their polling place instead.
They could have went to their polling place. They probably would have had to contact us because we'd have to spoil their absentee ballot to make them an election day person. But we make every effort. We don't have a deadline. We don't have a deadline to say, I can't send you an application because it won't be back in time, because we'll make every effort to get them that application prior to, and we accept mail, UPS, walk-ins, anybody up till 8 o'clock that will return that absentee ballot at night. So we have every opportunity for them to vote until 8 p.m.
If it comes back on the 7th of November, on the Wednesday, it's...
Unfortunately, then it's
Okay.
it's not counted because it didn't get back in time.
Okay.
Another question, the polling place is open at what time in the morning?
7 till 8 p.m., although we have one precinct, Traverse, opens at 10.
Traverse opens at 10.
It's based,
Or you
based
can't-
on the number of voters.
Yeah, but you can't vote then at 7
Commissioner
o'clock.
Dranto, then let keep...
Yeah. Back to the registers or logs, they're picking them up now, you're not delivering them?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The voter registration logs are picked up now by the precincts, you don't deliver
The
those?
rosters?
The rosters?
They've always been picked up.
Okay.
They pick up their election supplies, the AutoMark machine, their DS200 machine, and their rosters.
Okay.
They've always picked them up. The precincts have.
Commissioner Lipke?
Well, as we're talking about security, what if, say, a student from Gustavus would vote in California, where their home is, and vote here? Would that get caught?
It would eventually get caught. It doesn't necessarily get caught on election day, because on election day we wouldn't have any notification
Right.
that they voted in California. But after the election is all done, the Secretary of State is running many reports, and they report to us if there's any type of discrepancies in
So
any
the
of their
states do
voting.
communicate with each other?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And so ultimately that would be then a county attorney issue.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else to add to the discussion?
Yeah, I have one other. Since there are a lot of precincts that have mail-in ballots, how many, the question is not how many precincts have mail-in ballots, how many precincts are actually having a physical voting place this year?
I have 3 standalone townships left that have a polling place,
Oshawa,
and
Traverse, and
Lake
Cortland.
Prairie.
Lake Prairie.
Yep, those are our 3 standalones, and then Cortland piggybacks with the city, so they share a spot there too. So Cortland and the city share a polling place.
Oh, okay.
So 4 townships that are still polling place, and the others are mail ballot.
I understand that Oshawa is gonna plan to go to mail ballot.
And yes, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
What about
Heard.
Traverse?
I don't think it'll ever happen.
No, because the Durano family is in charge.
Not after this year.
Any other comments?
I don't.
Listen, we appreciate the efforts that you and your office are putting into this election, and thank you for the work.
Thank you.
Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My agenda item today is regarding Medicare supplement insurance. As you know, there's been federal changes to how that insurance is now provided. Nicollet County for many years has facilitated providing a supplement retiree insurance plan to our retirees. When I say facilitated, I say that because we don't have a contract with Blue Cross for it. It's not tied to our self-insurance fund, and the retired employees pay Blue Cross directly. So all we basically do is say, here's the rates from Blue Cross, and it's up to the retirees to decide if they want to purchase that or not. It sounds like with the new laws, those plans are going to change significantly. The cost will go up, it sounds like, in most cases, and benefits in certain cases could go down. Several of our retirees have contacted us to find out the status of what the county is going to do, and part of the issue is they think this is a county benefit plan that we're providing and negotiating for them, when it's not that at all. But they link it to us, so they're asking us insurance technical type questions of what the changes are and that type of thing, when that should probably go right directly to an agent. One thing that Jamie and I discussed is if this would maybe be a good time just to not facilitate this process anymore and have retirees just purchase their insurance out in the open market. It's not real common for counties to be involved with Medicare supplement insurance. A few do it, but not many. But with all the changes, I'm a little concerned about providing insurance advice to retirees on this type of subject. One option is, if we didn't facilitate it anymore, is that we would send a letter out to our retirees letting them know that we're not going to provide them a rate from Blue Cross anymore, but they can go directly to Blue Cross or talk to an agent. And then our county insurance agent, Bill Chachusky, has said that he would answer any calls that they have this year and probably going forward as well if they just wanted to work with him directly. So that is one option, that we just don't facilitate that process anymore, but provide information to the retirees on how they could purchase their insurance. I'm looking here at Blue Cross's website, and it looks like open enrollment is from November 1st through December 15th for supplement insurance. So it's coming up here shortly, and as is typical with the federal government, both insurance agents and people with the policies didn't know anything until first part of October, so this came as quite a shock to several people, and a lot of our retirees, rightfully so, called us very concerned that, with the changes, and of course, we didn't know anything about it either, because it's not our plan, so. And unfortunately, Blue Cross, when Jamie tried to reach out to them, was no help. They basically don't respond to our calls, because we don't have a plan with them. So I think in the long run, the retirees are probably gonna get better service if they work directly through an agent of their choice. They can go right online here to Blue Cross and get a quote, but I think most folks would be better off, because it looks like it's gonna be more complicated to work through an agent to purchase this insurance. So our recommendation is that we would send a letter out saying we're no longer gonna facilitate the process. If the board doesn't want to go that direction, we could certainly try to get a number from Blue Cross this year and tell retirees this is the number we got from Blue Cross, but I think what I would want to do is encourage them to shop around, because the rate that we get and plan that we get may not be the best situation anymore. It sounds like there's going to be multiple layers of plans to choose from at different costs and deductibles, so. Again, it's not a benefit that we directly provide, but since we have provided it for quite a long time, I thought the board should have some discussion on how we want to proceed and what our involvement is with that moving forward.
We appreciate the background. Let's have a discussion. Commissioner Stenson.
First of all, you said we haven't, for these retirement plans, we haven't negotiated a separate plan or a discount with Blue Cross for our retirees. But did we ever do that, even 10, 15 years ago? I don't know. Maybe we did when we had Blue Cross as our...
Yeah, to my knowledge, we never have, and to Jamie's knowledge, and she's been here 8 years, that we never have. We always did, I guess, negotiate, if you want to call it that, when we had our insurance with Blue Cross. But when we switched to Health Partners, what we did, again, because it's not a county plan, is we just kept the Blue Cross rate is what we did, and that's what we send out, so.
Yeah, so, but at the same, then each retiree who wanted it, the county had one plan for them? Or did you have the options of picking different plans?
Again, Jamie deals with this more than I do, but my understanding is we had just one plan.
Okay.
I believe that plan rate is about $278
Yeah.
a month, so as far as I know, it was just the one plan.
There was other plans available that the retirees could choose from, but
Right.
maybe they didn't know that. They took the county, that one plan, because we wanted to have one plan for all retirees.
Right, and my understanding, and again, a lot of this is very new, but there's gonna be multiple plans available now, and there's speculation that the insurance companies are going to get competitive on this and try to throw out different layers of plans. I think some folks here at the table have even gotten information on that.
Yeah, Blue Cross Blue Shield is not the only participant here.
Right.
Denny, there's Medicare, Medicaid, there's
Well,
Humana. there's-
Humana is the other provider, I think, that's currently certified for Minnesota, or for our county. Because there were a bunch of counties that were dropped out of the other plans, and so there's really kind of two providers that were offering plans that were acceptable in the county, which
So on
again,
that map,
it's...
you got
it's an-
green and blue, does that mean that, what does that mean?
They actually, this is Blue Cross's map, and Nicollet County is the only county in the state that's got two colors that says Blue Plus Metro and Blue Plus Southeast. I have no idea what that means.
Right.
Maybe it's the type of plan we're eligible for here.
So then Humana might have a map that's similar.
Humana has, I think if you do the generic lookup for these, Jim, you'll find that those are the two primary providers that have plans directly facilitating us as a supplement, because, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the PPO plans or the cost plans went away, and that was the big issue. Because there were some people that were able to receive benefit in a cost plan where they had no out-of-pocket, or they had very, very little expenses. Those went away, and I believe a lot of them were based on who the providers were, the primary providers were. And if you look at some of the maps, those that were primarily in the Mayo market disappeared. The PPOs went away for
Okay,
that
so
reason, so.
I guess Mr. Chair, I will suggest that we just drop anything to do with retirements as under the current system. There might be one exception, but to have a letter sent, but it would be nice that the letter would inform not only providers maybe or agents, but yeah, I suppose, but it's not just necessarily Blue Cross Blue Shield, because I bet you a lot of these retirees will think Blue Cross Blue Shield is the only one that they can go to.
Right.
Right.
And that was, I would.
The should be told that there's other companies.
Right,
Right.
I think Health Partners too is eligible here.
I believe so, but
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the status is of that because it wasn't provided in the pool that I looked at. It was only showing Medica and Blue Cross.
To Commissioner Stenson's point, the letter went out. I would be a little hesitant to recommend specific local insurance providers unless I can list them all.
Right.
Yeah,
Show
no, just-
favoritism.
And you might miss one.
I would list
Yeah.
Bill Chachesky as our county rep because he has
Yes.
offered to still provide those folks with service in this transition. So, but we could certainly, I think that's a good suggestion, is list the providers.
If you could find out
And-
who they are, so that, just so they know that Blue Cross Blue Shield is not the only one out there.
Commissioner Drantle?
How many people are involved here?
30, wasn't it?
At 30 to 40.
Uh,
You know
39, Bill gave me
Yeah.
39 to 40.
So would it be better to communicate with them by letter and then sit them down, being that there's only 39 or 40 of them?
Yeah,
If they wanted to come to a meeting,
If they wanted to come to a meeting?
and Bill could come to the meeting?
yeah, we could have a meeting too. We talked about that. If that was something that they
We
really
could-
wanted, if they needed more than a face-to-face, we could have him come here a day and they could schedule an individual appointment with him.
Because we all get
We're good
junk
with it.
mail.
Right.
Mhm,
Yeah.
And
right.
even though it's coming from the county, it's a confusing mess.
Mhm. I know, I think I mentioned in my email to the board that my parents have the Blue Earth County supplement, and that went up so much that they're going out
Right.
on the private market. And there's agents all over in our communities that sell this, and it's probably gonna get more competitive.
You had also said that Blue Earth County was one of the only other counties that are providing this service to the retirees.
Yeah, I know that they accept the payment from their, employees. We don't even accept the payment. Lyon County is another one, but other than that, I don't know, and Bill doesn't know hardly any else that's involved with this.
So, from your recollection then, we've never been the fiscal agent for this. We've just been merely the contact point.
Right, here's a plan you can use when you retire.
Okay.
Under state statutes, counties are required to provide their insurance benefits indefinitely to all retirees. But that means that's our county-sponsored health insurance plan. It's not the supplement.
So if somebody
piece.
retires at the age 60, before they go on Medicare, they could, it's a COBRA type thing.
Mhm.
As long as they pay you the premium each month and it's on the plan, they're part of the group.
Yeah, under the Fed's regulations for COBRA, I think it's still 18 months.
Yeah.
But it's because of state statutes, we have to provide it to them forever. But once they hit 65, almost everybody goes at Medicare
Yeah,
because it's
right.
more advantageous. If they did stay with the county plan, Bill said he does have some folks that do that. They can get pooled outside of our regular pool for health insurance rate purposes.
But does the rate vary based on the pooling?
I think it would, yeah, I think it would. I don't think ever had somebody stay on, because it's just not cost advantageous for folks to do that.
Mr. Chair, I like Marie's suggestion, and I don't know if we have to do this in a form of a motion or not, but I'd like to have the administration send a letter to the 40-some retirees who are currently in the retirement Blue Cross Blue Shield program and offer an informational meeting for the group at a certain date before the end of the month, actually, before the end of November. And if we could have Bill here to talk to the group that shows up, 2 or 3 people or all 30 or 40, you know, I think that'd be worthwhile. That would be a smooth way to get these people off our backs a little bit and be real upfront and transparent about it.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying. That letter should also contain the information that talks about, remember, we're not the agent here. And this is being provided as a service, or however you want to word that.
And I would also add, though, my personal preference would be, in addition to the letter, that all of those recipients should be followed up with a phone call. I really think it's important that we give them every opportunity to make that contact. I recognize it's a little time consuming, but it is only 40 people. I think we should give them every opportunity, because we know that some of our retirees are not necessarily going to be electronically savvy, and with the inundation of all of the other material that's coming at them right now, I think a phone call might be helpful in that area.
Who would be doing that sort of thing if that was?
Jamie and Whitney.
Whitney
will do that.
So, Mr. Chair, you also said we had the possibility of telling them that we would handle it for 1 more year.
They certainly could.
I mean, how big a inconvenience would that be?
I would say no, because everybody would have a different plan.
Exactly.
And then they could have other plans besides Blue Cross Blue Shield. I mean, it's just wide open.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be advantageous for our retirees to go shop.
Yeah.
For this. It's
Completely cut the string.
That's what I'm hearing, is to go shop around.
Okay.
Because it sounds like there's gonna be more variety. in
And
plans that
savings,
are on.
possible savings.
For them, yes.
Cause each situation's so different. What used to be our cost plan kind of fit generically for most people. That sounds like that's not really how it's gonna work anymore, so.
Commissioner
Mr.
Grasso?
Chair, some of them might qualify for benefits via our human services also.
Right.
We might want the public health, human services people here. They might.
Right, yep. It could.
Because there could be some MA eligibility issues for some of those folks. So, I think we give them every opportunity, and from my bias is, let's give them as much information and as many resources in a turnkey package for them. I know it's confusing, I know it's a lot of work, but I think it's the most respectful way we can deal with our past employees, and offer them as many options and do our best to help them move forward also.
And they're just hearing about this now too.
Yeah, we all found out the first week of October,
Right.
basically.
When the
They
mail-
actually,
yeah.
they actually got the mailings from Blue Cross, and of course we don't, cause it's not our plan.
Right.
So we got all these calls, and we didn't know what they were talking about, and it wasn't until the Free Press article that I even heard about it, so.
I will say that I've received 2 letters from Medicare.com, which is an insurance company.
Yeah.
Well, they're a broker, yeah,
It's not real.
It's not .gov, yes.
It's not the Humphrey Medicare.
Right.
It's confusing.
It is, and I think that's the service we can offer our retirees as best we can, because it's confusing all of us.
It is.
So, add on another 15 years of life for some of us, and it's harder, it's just plain harder. And so, I think we owe them that.
Well, I think, go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, we'll make the transition as smooth as possible here, and we can get something pulled together pretty quickly, I think, so.
I think basically what we have here is a report from the administrator, and he's jotted down the ideas that commissioners have come up with. And that will be, I don't know that the board needs to take any formal action.
No, that's fine. Just so there's a consensus that we need to help these retirees as much as possible before December 1st.
But it's an important discussion to have, certainly, as you have all voiced, so.
Another piece of this, it doesn't have to be decided today, but for elected officials' retirement benefits for the county, this will be impacted somewhat by what our past practice has been there, so, at a future date, we'll have to discuss how we're gonna handle that situation if we have elected officials that, don't need our county plan, but choose to go on a supplement, which we currently provide, how we're gonna pay for that, and if there's gonna be a cost limit or whatever.
Could I offer a suggestion in that area, Mr. Chair?
Certainly.
Since we do have an insurance committee, I'd ask that we consider the insurance committee to do the initial review and maybe a recommendation in regard to that, and we could probably have some of that meeting in conjunction with our agent here and others that have had exposure to these particular issues, and then report back. Before, I don't think we'd have any exposure issues until the end of the calendar year, with the exception of one of our retirees may have to file or at least apply for coverage after January 1st, or but the due date I think is December 7th.
15.
Or 15. So I mean, obviously we would want to have a recommendation, and we should be able to meet that timeline.
Jamie was going to, when she gets back, send an email out to her cohorts for the other counties that provided an elected insurance benefit, and just see how they handle the situation of when they're elected, skip that 65-year age, how the
Right.
benefits paid out, so.
Well, and arguably this impacts any person that has left the board that would be eligible,
Right.
regardless of their age.
And our three
Elected.
Right.
elected department heads.
Right, and department heads, I'm sorry, yes. So I think that would be helpful that we give everybody that opportunity, or at least have a policy in place.
Yep.
So those discussions will take place. You'll,
ASAP.
We'll set a meeting up here. Yep.
Would that be acceptable to the rest of the board?
I think it's a good idea.
I mean, we have to start there, I think, Commissioner.
Right. So, do we need a motion for that, or are we good
I
just
think we're fine.
procedurally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Any other comments to the issue that we've just been discussing from the administrator? Thank you for bringing that to our attention and more information. Anything else, Mr. Crush?
No, that's it for today.
I have a question on the bills for our administrator. Courthouse operations, there was a bill to Pappy Security Services for $7,380.
Poppy.
Install, how did I say it? What?
It's Poppy, yeah.
Poppy. Install card access to courts. Can you tell us a little bit about that expenditure and what they did? And was this in our budget for the courthouse operations?
That likely was part of the grant, the courthouse
Right.
grant that we got, that had to be spent by August 1. And I think Poppy's portion, we got the quote by August 1, and they did the work after that date. But this would have been part of the grant package that we received funds that we had to match 50% a year ago. So we did additional card accesses upstairs, which we needed to do. And then we did a few other things that I'm gonna refrain from mentioning here just for security purposes, but again, that was all part of that state grant.
Okay, so they went from the hit the button code to now the card, because they could do it quicker.
Yeah, we had not
Yeah.
a consistent security system up there. I know some of the accesses in the back, there was a code. And I think, like, where they bring the prisoner up from the elevator, and Doug and I have been slowly whittling away on this, and we got the grant, and so we finished it all, so it's all on the same
Card.
system now. Yeah.
Okay.
So that'll be much,
Have you
much
gotten
better.
any feedback from the courts about this?
No, other than I'm sure that they've been asking about this for quite a while, so I'm glad we can actually get it finished and have it on a one consistent system.
Is there any place in our campus where you have to put in a digital code anywhere now to open a door?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Okay, thanks. So this is all done, this is probably the last payment.
I think that was the last one.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else, Commissioner?
No.
Chair's report, October 10th, State Probation Committee, again. We're still working on language to put to the judicial folks in St. Paul for, it's been an interesting, convoluted discussion. Attended the AMC board meeting in St. Paul on October 12th. Hopefully you folks all get the updates when I shoot out the reports from Julie. Right?
Sometimes we get other things from you that probably shouldn't come.
That's right.
We're just picking on you,
Oh.
on your
Corrupted.
your corrupted file.
Scam, yeah. October 15th, the Minnesota Valley Action Council meeting. Of course, we talked about the October 16th road tour. TDS Library, October 18th, Housing Committee yesterday in New Ulm. And we continue to work on that. Commissioner Stenson, we'll start with you.
The road tour was really great. I've always liked the road tour because we get out and see the current situation. And Seth shows us, you know, I'm really excited about the bridge at the park. I think that's a really needed thing, and I'm glad you're going ahead with that. Will construction begin when, do you think?
Next year, we haven't set an exact start date.
Yeah, okay. So that was good. The only other comment I have about the road tour, or with Seth's department, is that we usually meet with all our department heads on a regular basis, you know, on our workshop day, but we never ever meet with him on that situation because it's just a road tour. So we don't get to quiz him about his staff or get a tour of his, well, we did a tour of his facilities periodically, but we don't have a chance to have him sit down here in the Nicollet room. So I mean, I'm just saying that may be something that you'd like to do sometime. I don't, you know,
The rotation for that, well, it's getting less because we have less department heads now than we used to. So it's getting a little quicker with that rotation, but part of, I think, that is we get a whole day with Seth and then we see him every 2 weeks. Sometimes
yeah.
we want to and sometimes we don't, but.
Yeah, that's true, okay.
Yeah.
That's just a comment I'm making. I mean, I'm not saying that we have to do it, or.
I'm
it's
just
a
kidding, Seth.
consideration. On Wednesday, October 17th, I came in here and got my flu shot. The place was just hopping with people and vendors, and I didn't go through the line to pick up pens and pencils and little gadgets or anything. I just got my flu shot. But if you haven't had your flu shot yet, I recommend getting it because it's a good thing. And Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, the only other comment I want to make is that in my process of studying the recent history, 50 years ago in Nicollet County, one of the things that I discovered or want to report on is that 50 years ago, this last May, Clifford Tip Whitty, who was sheriff for 17 years, passed away 50 years ago. And of course, he and his wife lived in the jail here and provided meals and all that kind of stuff. And then his son took over as sheriff, and so we had a Whitty family for a long, long time. And also back then I recognized that Jim Coleman was hired as a deputy sheriff 50 years ago, and of course he eventually became sheriff. So it's just a point of interest.
Thanks for the history.
Yeah, okay.
Commissioner Grantham.
Nothing other than the normal road tour and planning and zoning.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Kemp.
Again, road tour and some outreach with South Central EMS. That's the extent of my activity in the last week.
Commissioner Lipke.
So Jim, was that his son or his brother that took over as sheriff?
Well,
George's.
Was there two Whittys or three Whittys?
Yeah, Clifford passed away, and then George became sheriff, and then his brother became sheriff when George died.
Okay. So it was
For
a
a
father
while.
and 2 sons?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, went to the medical device thing they had at the winery, and it was quite interesting. Mr. Tim Penny was there. I went to the energy meeting in North Mankato, and that was quite interesting. They talked about the power plants in Minnesota and how basically we're getting too many of them, in a way. Listened to webcast of the Minnesota Rural Counties seminar that was up in Glenwood. Stopped at the DNR office, and that's still moving at a glacial pace. Was on the road tour with the rest of you, and spent a half hour with the phone with Kim Spears, who wanted to find out everything he could find out about Kister Slough and the County Road 12.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. County Attorney, do you have anything to add today?
Just did the road tour with the group and found it interesting as always.
Very good, thank you. Heather, anything that you'd like to add? Lynette, any final
Nothing.
tears of joy or?
Go
Sorry.
Scarlets, go Scarlets, huh?
Yes.
All right, our next meeting will be, wow,
13th.
yes, the week after the
3 weeks-
election.
3 weeks from now.
All right, there's no other business to come before the board. We're adjourned until November 13th. Thank you.